Let's start. Welcome to second video of this series, PMP Mastery. In the first video, we discussed 4 values and 12 principles of Agile. We also discussed the progressive elaboration and how you can understand that, how that can help you to master the Agile in PMP. In this video, I'm going to go into depth of Scrum framework. The purpose is that you understand Scrum, which is actually 80 to 90% of the Agile part of the PMP exam. You don't get much question on XP or things like that. Scrum is something where you will get the question. So let's start about that. Before that, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe it so that you don't miss anything that is important regarding to you. This is very important. Click the bell icon, get the notification, because 2024 is the year in which I have planned to make at least 300 plus videos for you. And I'm talking about the long videos, not the short videos. So do subscribe it and put in the comment, I just subscribed. So let's go to the Scrum. So Scrum is basically a project management framework. What do I mean by that project management framework? Scrum is the way how things can be done. What are the ways to do into that? In Scrum, we have basically 3 roles: product owner, Scrum master, and development team. Then we have, I will be using different colors so that you can understand them when I say any of those things. We have 3 major artifact documents, the same thing. One is product backlog, the other is sprint backlog, and the third one is product increment. 3 roles, 3 documents, and 5 ceremonies. These are closed. Okay, 5 ceremonies. One is sprint planning, in which we actually plan the entire sprint. The second is daily stand-up. Third is sprint review. Fourth is sprint retrospective. Okay, now the fifth one is sprint itself. Some author says that sprint is the 5th ceremony, and some author says that grooming or product refinement is the 5th ceremony. But I am gonna take product grooming or refinement as a part of sprint review, because it actually comes after that and it makes more sense to have it here. So I'm gonna say it's sprint review plus product backlog grooming or refinement. Okay, so 5 ceremonies. I'm gonna go through these 3 things and help you understand the entire Scrum in PMP. So the scope of this video is more towards PMP exam. If you are preparing for CSM, this can really help you, but I highly recommend for that also go through Scrum guide and take CSM training. I don't offer, but I can recommend some good people. Okay, so let's talk about first these 3 roles. Product owner, PO, product owner. Product owner is voice of customer. Product owner in normal organization, let's say you are working in a software organization or even a predictive organization you are working, product owner is somebody who basically is kind of a business analyst. He is more of a, in many organizations, they still call him business analyst or they have a separate product owner. His job is to define the value. What is most valuable in your project? Like which thing has the highest value as of now? Which thing has highest value as of now in your project? That is the job of product owner. So basically, what does product owner do? We need to look into that. We have discussed that he defines the value, what is the most important thing, what should be given to the customer. He will be communicating with the customer. He defines how the user story should be value delivered. Okay, what does he do? Basically, product owner, he goes to the sponsor, he goes to the customer, he asks them, hey, what do you need? What do you need? They give him their requirement. Requirements are called as user stories in Agile. He collect all the user stories from the customer, sponsor, etc., etc. He collect them and he put into the document, and that document is product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but the list of all the requirements, list of all the user stories that we need to complete. They are prioritized by high value and high risk. Let's see how basically this workshop happened. Okay, so your product owner, he goes to the customer. Okay, I'm making these smiley faces here. He goes to the customer, asks them what are your user story. User stories are written in a form as a user. It defines you, who are you, what do I want, my requirement. I want whatever you want, so that this is kind of acceptance criteria. You write down the user story on small sticky notes. It's just a way of Agile. If that makes a problem for you, why I have to use sticky notes, just understand that you get the requirement, you put the requirements into the product backlog. Product backlog has all the requirements, all the user story into it. So he collect them, their requirements, what do he need. So this is kind of a focus group happening here, right? We are asking them what they need. We collect all the requirements. Once they have given the requirement, we get a product backlog. Now he goes back to them and he asks them to use Moscow, 100 point, Monopoly, even Kanu model. He uses Kanu. He uses any of these techniques. He is asking them, okay, in Moscow, what are the most important requirement for you right now, right? If you put in the comment, if you get a salary, today is 1st of February, if you get a salary, what is the most important thing for you? That is your must requirement. What is the should requirement? Okay, the must things are done, that has to be done. What is the next thing? What is the must have, should have, could have, would likely to have, but maybe next time. For example, today is 1st February. My number one priority is to provide the salaries of all my employees. All my 25 employees, I want to give them the salary. That's the must requirement. I need to pay the rent of this home. So that's one of the requirement. Must have. Then should have. I need to set ads, things like that, that can work into that. Of course, grocery can be must and should depending upon how much stock I have left for the last month. Could have. Okay, I want to get clothes or things like that. Would likely to have, but maybe next time. Apple is just releasing Apple Vision Pro tomorrow, so that is like $4,000. So I want to have it, but maybe next time. Okay, because that is not the number one priority. So that's what Moscow works in. I hope that makes sense. If it does, put in the comment box. Is Moscow clear to you? Similarly, sometimes multiple people can say that this is the must requirement. So what I will do, I will say, okay, you have 100 point, 100 point, 100 point. He has 100 point, 100 point. Let's say 4 or 5 stakeholders are there. You can give all the 100 point to one user story. Okay, all the user. Let's say this is product backlog. You can put all the story points to one user story, or you can divide it in any way. Once they have given the point, we will add it, and that becomes the most important. It's like there are things, add the money into it, and you get whatever is most valuable is the most important requirement. Kanu model is basically we will prioritize the requirement according to the market value. What is the features that delights the customer? What are the features that are expected and must be present? So we will look all those features in the requirement and we will prioritize according to that. In simple words, we have prioritized the requirement. Now the team, which is self-organized team. What do I mean by self-organized team? They are T-type leaders having in-depth knowledge of one thing and a cross-functional knowledge of that. They will decide how user story will complete. Very critical concept. They will decide how the user story will be completed. So they will look at the user story, each user story. What they will do, they will look at each user story and they will tell what are the story points of each user story and what are the risks in each user story. So they will tell story points and risk in it. What is story point? Story point is the effort required to complete a user story. In simple term, how much time it will take to complete the user story. The story points will cover that, how much effort it will require to complete one user story. We can use ideal odds, that is how many odds it will take, affinity estimation, this is a small, medium, large, or Fibonacci series, that is based on Fibonacci mathematical series 1, 2, 3, 5, whatever the story point is. We get consensus through planning poker, or if the people are not agreeing, maybe through wideband Delphi, anonymous consensus building. We get the consensus, we get the story point, effort required to complete each user story on the product backlog. They put it how much risk in each user story. So let's say this is 8 story point, this is 13, this is 1, 5, 15, whatever the story points are. This is high value, high risk, low value, medium risk, etc., etc. Now my product backlog is prioritized by high value, high risk. This is even before the first sprint. The sprint has not yet started. You have prioritized the product backlog, you have the story points into it. It is good effort that you get it done in the entire way. Now we have a prioritized product backlog. Please understand, your Scrum Master, who is Agile project manager, he is there to shield the team from any interruption. He is there to identify the training requirement and provide that training to the team members, that do they have that enough training that is needed, do they have every single knowledge that is required for them in order to complete that. It's a very important thing. It's his job to identify it, provide them food and water, that is basically identify the training requirement, shield them from any miscommunication, things like that. Scrum Master is doing that. So he is also helping them, facilitating them the meeting. He is servant leader. Servant leader is like mother or father, providing the team member, working with them to enhance their goal. So he's a servant leader. So we discussed 3 roles: product owner, Scrum Master, development team. We have discussed product backlog. We have discussed prioritization technique. Anything that is not clear, put in the comment box. I will reply to your comment, and maybe I'll make another video if something is not clear. In this video, my goal is to give you a summary. I can go into depth if something is not clear. So we have this thing, we have prioritized product backlog. Now the team will start the first sprint 0. Actually these risks are also done in sprint 0. These things are also done in sprint 0. So we have already done few things which is done in sprint 0. In addition to that, I will do architectural spike, which is proof of concept. What do I mean by proof of concept? When I say proof of concept, I mean that can I actually complete this thing? Is it even possible for me to complete that thing? It's like a analysis, it's like a design test, load test. Can we even do that? Like you are going on a trip, you want to make sure that you do have all the tools to go there. Architectural spike. The entire Scrum is basically divided into this way. You have sprint 0. Okay. Sprint is also called an iteration. We discussed in the last video. Then you have all the sprint in which you will complete that, which we will discuss in a minute. And then finally, once everything is done, we will have iteration H or sprint H, hardening iteration, in which we will do the final analysis to check that what the customer need, is it present there or not? What does the customer need? Is it present here or not? So the entire structure will be in this way. Start with sprint 0 and with sprint H or hardening sprint. So let's go and look at the Scrum framework. Sprint is also called as iteration. We will establish this first thing. Sprint is called as iteration. The length of the sprint can vary from 1 week and it can go up to 4 weeks. Normally it is 2 weeks because 1 week is very small, 4 weeks is too high. So we will make the length 2 weeks. A product owner will decide how much the length the sprint should be. Normally with the consensus, once the length is decided, we don't change the length of the sprint. Nobody can. If you want to cancel the sprint, only product owner can do it. No Scrum Master, no sponsor product owner has the authority. Maybe sponsor say to him, but it's responsibility of product owner. So sprint is 1 to 4 weeks, the entire duration in which the thing actually happened. Okay, 1 to 4 weeks. We are gonna say it's 2 weeks. We are taking the 2 weeks. We already said So we already have a product backlog, right? We had a product backlog which has all the prioritized item. For every sprint, let's say it's sprint 1, we'll make a sprint backlog. Sprint backlog from where we will establish sprint goal, which is communicated to the customer. Hey customer, we are going to do this thing. Do you agree? And we work on to that. Product owner has to agree on it and he has to get customer agree. Sprint backlog is actually a subset of product backlog. Let's say it has 100 user stories in it. We will, the team, very important, team will decide, let's say sprint 1, how much we can complete in one sprint. Number of story points you can do in one sprint is called velocity. Number of story points you can do in one sprint. It's the same thing, how much work you can do in 2 weeks, right? That is your sprint velocity. Initially, we will have estimated velocity. So as we move, our goal is to stabilize the velocity, right? That is our goal. We will come to the chart later on. So we get sprint backlog, which is a subset of it. Team decide how much work we can do. Of course, the product owner will say, let's try to do more, and team will say, we want to do less. So we will, or Scrum Master will take the side of team, how much work can be done. But what is valuable, which user story should be put into that? That is the job of the product owner. Okay. Let's say there's a user story that is bigger than even the velocity. The velocity of team is 13 story point, let's say. And you have a user story that is 20 story points. This is called epic. This is called epic. We will break down that user story into small equal parts that we can complete in the sprint. We will break down. We will not increase the length of sprint. Important point. Write it down, take a notes, maybe wherever you're taking. So we have product backlog, sprint backlog. Now the sprint will start once the goal is agreed. Normally it is 2 hours of thing, but PMI exam is not gonna ask you how much time it will take. So 2 hours of effort, then we'll start working into that. We will do daily stand-up. The purpose of daily stand-up is to share progress. That's it. The purpose of daily stand-up is to share progress. We have 3 questions into it. What you have done yesterday, what you are going to do today, is there any roadblock, impediment, something that is stopping you? How we can help each other. We are sharing progress. We discuss issue. We don't solve issue into it. If somebody want to have a one-to-one discussion with other members, they can do it later. It is for the team, by the team. Scrum Master is there as a facilitator. Like he is asking each person, or they are sharing the progress, and he is making sure that this ends in 15 minutes. It happens same time, same location. We prefer to have a co-located team. That is one of the concept in Agile. Even if the team are distributed globally, you have a one kickoff meeting where they come, sit together, and we explain everything to them. So they come to us, we share the progress, 15 minutes, same time, same location. They discuss what they have. Now they can have different type of information radiators with them. Information radiators are the chart that actually shows you the progress. I guess I shall take the next page for that. I'll come back to this page in a minute. So we have burn up chart. Burn up chart is, you will get an ideal burn up chart. Like this is the ideal burn up chart showing, okay, if your sprint is 2 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 days, you have 10 story points, 100 story points. Ideal burn up chart will say that on 10th day, you will be able to complete that. Okay. So as you move forward, you will actually plan your burn up chart. How we are doing. So let's say we are on day 3 and burn up chart is somewhere here. Okay, it is, let's say 40 story point. So if we want to see, are we ahead or are we behind? Okay, this chart can tell you, are we ahead or are we behind? For example, on day 1, if we completed this, we were supposed to complete it this much, we are behind. Here we are on it. If we are above, we are, what we are doing, we are doing more story points. We are completing more story points with that time. Okay, we may able to complete, let's say if I extrapolate it, I may able to complete it earlier. So this is data representation and data analysis technique. Another important thing in the burn up chart, if you add scope, let's say if the story points goes from 100 to 120, it can actually shows you. First it was 100 and suddenly it become 120, it can show you. Other chart which we are going to discuss now, burn down chart, is unable to show that. Burn down chart basically shows you, this shows you how much work is done, this shows you how much work is remaining. Okay, it is also data representation and data analysis technique, but it shows you how much work is remaining at any particular time. Okay, I do recommend you make burn up burn down chart by your hand one time so that you can understand how the things work. You can like tell me here, are we ahead of schedule or behind schedule? Put in the comment box. What about here? Are we ahead of schedule or behind schedule? Here. So this question can come in exam. Okay, this question can come. You see, if it was 100 story points and at any day, let's say it is 80, 20 story points come here, you can get a spike here and then back to here, but it cannot actually represent that. So I will always use burn up chart when there's a chance to increase the score. Which is better? Both are same. Both are used for the same purpose. They are showing how much work is remaining, how much work is done. Okay, then we have task board that simply shows you the progress. That simply shows you the progress to do in progress, testing completed. It shows you the progress in the entire project. You use task board for every single thing that is working into that. There's an advanced task board that we use that is called Kanban board. It is same but with one difference. It has limit of progress. You remember in COVID there used to be limit on the ground how many people can go inside. That is work in progress limit. So same thing, basically Kanban board is showing you how much work can be done by any person at any time. So it basically helps you to identify the flow I want to build, that the work does not stop, because that is the goal of lean, that is my goal. It also identify work in progress, how we can do, what is the bottleneck. If my work stop here, what is the bottleneck? It works into that way. So very important chart. Your Kanban board help to build the flow, identify a bottleneck, any problem that is there, it helps to guide you in that pattern case. I hope that makes sense. And in addition to that, you can watch this video. This video is gonna help you to identify basically in the Kanban board, etc. We are also, if I try to put this in a graphical way, just like them, I can have cumulative flow diagram. Cumulative flow diagram can also give you what is work in progress limit. But you need to understand burn up, burn down chart, task board, Kanban board for your exam. This will actually help you. You may get a question into it. I do recommend you make it by hand and maybe send your burn up, burn down to my email or number given above. Okay, so this is progress sharing. We are discussing the progress. We want to have a co-location at one location where we can discuss the progress, so that if anyone overhears us, that is osmotic communication. What is osmotic communication? It's kind of a gossip. You overhear someone, they can also add value to there. We want co-located team, even if it is one time. Otherwise we can have fishbowl. Fishbowl is a long virtual meetings that you have 24 hours, the internet, like you have a long video calls. That's a fishbowl meeting. So you keep on doing daily stand up, daily stand up, daily stand up. Then once the entire work is done, then happen sprint review. Sprint review is basically, when does the sprint end? When the entire sprint is over, after 2 weeks. Not when the work is completed, not when somebody says let's do it. No, when the time's up, sprint is over. So after 2 weeks, the client will come, product owner will come, team will only show those user stories which are 100% completed. This is an important concept. Agile does not believe in 99.9. 100% is the must thing for that. So 100% user story, how do I know? I have a checklist that is called definition of done. Definition done is a checklist that I have based on the value what the customer has given or product owner has given, because it's the job of product owner to tell you what to expect. So I have made the checklist that shows me the thing is 100% completed. I will show to the customer. Customer has an acceptance criteria just like this. It should be almost the same, but they have their own checklist. If they accept a user story according to their checklist, it will go into a document, third document, product increment. Anything that is accepted, it goes into product increment. It goes into product increment. Now they have accepted that, okay, this is that thing, it goes into product increment. Anything that is not completed, anything that is rejected, it goes into product backlog. It goes into product backlog. This is the best time where the client can add new requirement. You see, client can actually give, because we know the response to a change or following a plan is the value of Agile which we follow. They can give any time, but this is the best time when they should actually give us the requirement. So they can add new requirements that are in the product backlog, old requirement, incompleted, rejected. All the requirements are there, client is here. So I would say let's do grooming of the product backlog. Grooming or refinement of the product backlog happens here. Refinement of the product backlog, like I would say sprint review, two parts. One, client accept, reject, give more user story. Second, reprioritize the product backlog. Like what is the most valuable thing right now? It's a very important concept in Agile, that is MVP. MVP says that identify what is the most important thing, that is the backbone of the product, and maybe skeleton, what are the supporting requirement, and make something, give it to the customer. Don't wait, give it to the customer. You have done something, provide to the value to the customer and look into that way. We deliver the minimum viable product, and in every sprint or every increment we add into that minimum business increment. Minimum viable product, whatever you have done, deliver to the customer, get the feedback, improve it. So we will do the grooming of product backlog, that is refinement of the product backlog. And when the client is gone, now we have sprint retrospective. Sprint retrospective is the meeting of only team and Scrum Master. Product owner can come, but normally they don't come. This is a meeting. The purpose is to identify lesson learned, how we can improve the next sprint. It's 5 steps. Step number 1, set the stage. We actually set the stage, like what we are going to do. We set the stage. Second, we gather data. What have done happened in the entire sprint. We gather the entire data, put it on a something. Third, very important, generate insight. This is where we actually do the root cause analysis, identify what can be improved. Then we decide 1 or 2 improvement, not more, put it in the sprint backlog or product backlog, and close the retrospective. So this is the entire Scrum for you. What we have discussed is the entire thing. So if I go back to my initial page, okay, the first one, okay. Yeah, so we have discussed 3 roles. Product owner, who is responsible to define the value, he can cancel the sprint, he tells you what is the most valuable thing. Scrum Master, your servant leader, he is there to make sure no problem happens. He's kind of a grease between 2 gears, product owner and team. Team is a cross-functional team, self-organized. They are the motivated people. They want to work and they are working. They know how to do the things. Okay. Then we discussed 3 documents or artifact. Burn up, burn down chart are also artifact. Product vision, what we want to do, or Agile charter are all artifact. But these are the most important artifacts. Product backlog, list of all the requirement that has been prioritized. Sprint backlog, what you are going to do for sprint. When the sprint is over, that sprint backlog is done. For every single sprint, you will have a new sprint backlog. Product increment, whatever is completed, you will put in the product increment. You will keep on doing into that, and at the end of the entire project, then we will look in the sprint H or iteration H, that is it final check according to the requirement or not. Then we discuss sprint is 1 to 4 weeks, normally 2 weeks. Sprint planning, where we actually from product backlog make sprint backlog. Then daily stand up, 15 minutes, same time, same location, discuss the progress, what you have done yesterday, what you are going to do today, any roadblock, impediment. Sprint review, where we share the progress. in which we understand when we start work, we look at the definition of ready. Can I even do that? Definition of done, is it completed? Acceptance criteria, when the client accepts it, it goes to product increment. If it is not completed, rejected, or new requirement, goes to product backlog. We refine here, that is called grooming of the product backlog. Once that is done, then we go to the sprint retrospective, which is a 5 stages lesson learned workshop. If you understand every single thing that I have mentioned in this video, your Scrum is clear. If you understand the previous video of Agile, your Agile mindset is clear, and that is the most important thing for your PMP exam. Please understand 70 to 80% is Agile and PMP exam, and these 2 videos make sure you understand every single thing. If you have any question, feel free to comment to me. If you haven't subscribed, please do that. And most important thing, if you want to become certified PMP in 4 to 6 weeks, register on the email or on the number, wherever it is, and I will make sure you become PMP. It is the highest success record in the world. I hold your hand and I make sure you become PMP. We'll be looking forward to you. Thank you very much.